My whole life, I was able to hear so many voices in my head, different aspects coming at me, telling me I wasn't good enough, telling me I sucked, and so many different voices too. 6 months in, I went for that run, started bawling my eyes out, ask myself while I'm running, like, hey man, why are you crying? What's going on here? And it's like, and on that run, I finally realized I've always been worthy. It's always been inside of me. I just chose not to accept it. Having the ability to step outside of ourselves is one of the biggest skills that we can develop. People need to have the authority to help themselves. We are in a society that takes people's authority to help themselves away. You're a human being. You're living a human experience. That is okay. What is your next step?
Welcome to the High Performance Human Podcast, where high achievers learn to master themselves, not just their success. I'm Creighton Bertrand, a certified high performance coach, here to share practical tools to rewire your habits and mindset. If you're ready to move beyond good enough and step into real transformation, you're in the right place. Let's get to work.
Faith can have such an amazing impact on how we view ourselves and how we view life. Because in those moments, I also think about like, okay, if we want to be selfish in that moment, can we actually switch seeing ourselves as selfish to helping others? And so it's like certain times, do I want to go work out in the morning? No, I don't. But I'm selfish in the fact that I know if I work out, I will have better chemicals inside of me. I will feel better every morning. I will be healthier. I will be stronger. And I'll be able to take in more of other people's emotions, which then thus makes me selfless. Which, if I'm selfless, then I am proving to myself that there is something bigger than me that is orchestrating things that I can rely on when things get really hard. And so, again, it comes back to, like I am selfish, but I'm selfish to be selfless.
Let me ask you this. As you've been kind of going through your journey, I know for me, I've dealt with this, but like as you're learning and you said that, you felt like you have to do it, like it's not a matter of, am I going to help people? This is just something that I don't know if it's a calling or what, but I know when I started, there was moments where I kind of felt like a fraud teaching some of this stuff, because one of my favorite sayings is to know and not to do is to not truly know. So I would tell people, oh, I know this and I know, but then I'd be like, well, dude, you're kind of a hypocrite because you're not practicing enough. You haven't, quote unquote, mastered it yet, as if we can ever really master anything. And that's own discussion on its own. But so as you're going through learning this stuff, did you ever have any of that kind of imposter syndrome or feeling like a fraud teaching this stuff, or did that go away? Or can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, so that's a really, really great question because I actually started, after the business started to thrive, I had people come to me say, hey, Brad, I want to run my own coaching business. So I started to help them with it. And that was something that they encountered. That was very intriguing. For me, once I healed my spine and started to help others, I chose every single time before I would try to have a conversation, before I would try to be of service to someone, to make myself an open vessel. And so there's this aspect built into Buddhism, interdependence. So interdependence means that we are all connected, all of us, which we are. We're all connected. We're the same human beings. And so with interdependence, it allowed me to see that this actually has nothing to do with me. So when I would make myself an open vessel, there was no me. There was no point in me being worried about if I was good enough or not, because it wasn't about me.
Right.
And so personally, I had to come to that because I was a very selfish person before I broke my spine. I was extremely selfish. Like it was all about me. Who needs 5 race cars, man? You don't need 5. Come on. You don't need 5. Like, so I had one of the biggest gifts of being a selfish asshole before I broke my spine, because after the gift of breaking my spine, I couldn't go back. And so the imposter syndrome, it wasn't something that I got attached to, because every time before I would sit down with someone, I would just go, I'm an open vessel. This has nothing to do with me. God and the universe are literally flowing through me so I can help this person. I'm just going to allow that to happen.
So it was a detachment of self-ego. How long into your quote unquote practice do you, or was that for you like right away that you're recognizing it was ego, it was attachment to self, that you needed to release that?
Again, I think that was one of the biggest gifts of being so egoic for so long, but really being scared inside, is because I spent 28 years constantly being the guy, right?
Yeah.
And the outside world validated it, which I'm
Oh,
grateful for. Thank you, God. Like
yeah.
it did. Everywhere I went, I was given whatever I wanted to. It was so strange.
Yeah.
But when I broke my spine and I had to look at my life and go, dude, this is shambles. You've created shambles internally. That is not okay. It had an immediate effect of going, you can't be that person. That is unacceptable. And I also attached to it, and if I was ever that person again,
Mm,
that egoic, selfish person, I convinced myself. Because again, my belief is that whatever we put into our minds, it will be created. And
mm,
so I specifically put things in mind that do not allow me to be the person I don't want to be. So I
mm,
put into my mind, hey, you love who you are now. You love these gifts that you've been given. They do not come from you. If you act like that again, they will be taken away.
mm.
That's a powerful motivator, brother.
Yeah, especially if you believe the stories that you have. And
Exactly.
that's why I think it's so important for so many people. I don't know if you've watched I forgot what his name, the Know Thyself podcast. Like just knowing who you are
Mm.
is so important because if you don't know who you are, I always say that the only way to fight confusion is with clarity. So if you have clarity of who are you, who do you want to be, that's what's going to pull you when you're uncertain. But if you don't know, then you're left to, unfortunately, either the familiar past or your feelings at the present.
Yeah, I don't feel like doing it, or I want to relive those old patterns. And
Right.
so I had to create for myself what I call the triad. So the triad is three specific core aspects that I built into myself of calmness, kindness, and presence.
Mm.
And so I always know where I fall back on. And if any time I'm out of alignment, I'll literally just go inside of myself. I could be driving, I can be spending time with my children, I can be with my wife, I can be with a client. And I literally just, okay, let's check that real quick. Am I being present? No, I'm not. Okay, go back to being present, Brett.
Mm.
Come on now. And so this is what I help my clients with. Like we create triads for all of them. And I've seen it, the familiar, like you said, it's just so easy for our brains to continue that neural groove.
Yeah.
But we can combat that if we have a simple switch built into our brain of what we're going to instead.
Yeah. You said that you help everyone kind of come up with their own triad. Is it everyone's different, or do you see a lot of common themes
They're,
between
di-
the
they're
triads?
different, man. It's
Really?
so cool. It is
Huh.
so cool. So here's the intriguing thing, the words that they choose are all very different.
Okay.
The concepts behind them are very closely related.
Can you give me an example?
So if you want to choose words of leadership, but then you want to choose words of genuine, right? Leadership and genuine. These are
Okay.
two very different things. They can be thought of in very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But behind both of them are I know myself.
Mm.
And so knowing yourself, or really, in my opinion, which is a stretch, trusting and loving yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that's a key thing that we must build into our minds. And people associate that specific core aspect with different words. And that's
It,
okay. That's
yeah.
that's the beauty of it, is it's supposed to be directly correlated to their lived experience.
Right. And do you feel like that it changes over time, people's triads that, at one moment in their life, this is, and maybe even for you, a question or yours of, has
Mm-hmm.
your triad adjusted as you've kind of grown, or I would say maybe even evolved, or let's not even say evolved, but just
Mm-hmm.
got more familiar with yourself. Before, I thought
Yeah.
this is what I wanted, but now that I've gone, I was saying leadership and all I wanted was love.
Uh-huh. So it's pretty cool. It's like if you have a certain suit designer that you really, really like, you'll have maybe a few of their suits, and they fit you very well. But the designer is still the same. My words have always been the same. I've tried on different suits though, but they've all led back to the same exact thing.
Oh,
So
wow.
for a,
Interesting.
yeah, so for a while, I added objectivity and took out calm. But for me, if I'm objective, that makes me calm.
Yeah.
And so then I just went right back to like, okay, these are my words. That's cool.
I'm curious if you had to define one word that you're striving to be or to become
Mm,
throughout your cycle of life.
mm-hmm,
Have you ever defined what is the word that either
mm-hmm.
you want to be associated with or the word that you are trying to master with
Yes,
your
that's a
time
good
here on life?
question. That's a good question. And so it would actually be being.
Being. Cool. What's your
Mm-hmm.
definition of being?
So being is consistently in the present moment, not allowing the past to overtake me or
Mm,
my mind to go to the future of what I need to be. It's allowing myself to feel fully in love and happy with myself and knowing that the universe and God always have my back and I can just be me in the present moment, which for me is being.
wow. That's so interesting. That's beautiful.
Thanks,
On a
man.
scale of 1 to 10, where do you feel like you're at with that at this moment?
The funny part about that word is it's always going to be a 10 because I'm living a human experience.
Well, you could forget about it. You could go into, well, me, my, whatever it is.
But even then, you're still, in my perspective, living the human experience. And then, yeah, you might like go into that, but then you come back and you're like, oh, that was supposed to happen.
Oh, I love that. One of my words is imperturbable, which actually is very aligned
It
with
is aligned.
being. Because my
Yes.
and as you were defining it, I was like, oh, it's because mine is no matter what happens in the moment, I don't sway from who is my ideal version. That I
Nice.
continue to be love, caring, compassion, kindness, no matter what situation or circumstance comes my way.
Yeah, that directly aligns with unshakable too. Like
Yeah.
that's the main thing I help men do is create an unshakable mindset.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Do you feel like being imperturbable is natural for you, or if it's something that you have to constantly shift in your being?
It depends on the day, the time, my
Mm,
state. If I've done a good job in the morning of priming myself, reminding, hey, Creighton, this is who you want to be, all this, I take time to meditate, to calm my mind, to let my mind embody that I'm in control, that this is
mm,
what I choose, then it's so much easier. But if I was to wake up, and I know for me, if I just wake up and then my kids start pulling me, hey, daddy, I need this. Daddy, make me breakfast. Daddy, 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 daddy. And then I'm going through my day just being pulled everywhere. If someone, this is the example that I have. So if someone came up to me out of nowhere and just stabbed me in the stomach, I would
hmm.
probably lash out and be
Be
pissed.
perturbed.
Yeah. But my ultimate state of imperturbability is someone comes up and stabs me and I can stay in that moment, be love and be like, wow, I wonder what's happening for this person to do this to me. They must be really hurting. Like stay more curious than certain that I know the answer. That's my
Brother.
ultimate version of being imperturbable is at any moment in time I'm choosing to be love.
That's beautiful, bro. I love it. And so I think what's very powerful too is if you take that concept and then go, can I trust and love myself to not need the morning routine to
Mm,
consistently know that I am that?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what a fun game, in my opinion, to play is like to watch, like in the middle of my journey, to watch myself in my mind going, fuck all of this. This all sucks. I am tired of all. And then at the same time, go, yeah, but you're okay.
Yeah.
And then to take it another step further and go, yeah, but you didn't meditate and you
Right.
didn't work out. And then go, yeah, but you're still okay. And what if you don't have to do those things? You can still trust and love yourself. And that was so uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like I constantly told myself I had to do things to love myself. Like, even if there were the beautiful things, right? Like,
Right.
I used to wake up every morning for 2 hours and meditate, which is,
Yeah.
it was so fun. It was great at that time. But that was 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
4 o'clock. And that's what you did for 2 hours. And it's like, gee whiz, Brett, you did that for 6 months straight. Like, man, that's a lot of
That is
time.
a lot of time. What happened
um,
after that? After your 6 months of doing perfect, of 2 hours of meditating, what did you turn
I
to
wanted
after?
to just be a part of life. I wanted
Oh,
to be a part of life more. And so then it was like, let me stretch, let
yeah.
me work out, let me read a book, and let me
Yeah.
see what my mind does. I'm constantly trying to understand what inputs change in my physical system, in my mental system. Like,
Mm.
what a beautiful game that we get to play where we can literally change or shift something and then we have immediate tangible results of what it does.
What do you think
So
is the hardest thing that you've tried to implement to test that or challenge that or
Ugh.
gain?
So there's two exact things. So for a year straight, I was doing this breathing exercise where I would hold my exhales and then work out to the point where I would pass out. So I wanted to see how far I could push the physical system, thus push the mental system. And so, like, for example, I would do a 30-minute workout where I would do sets of burpees, push-ups, squats, and sprints. And you would inhale, exhale, do as many burpees as you could. Inhale, exhale, do as many push-ups as you could. Over and over and over again until I got to the point where like, okay, I'm getting ready to pass out. Cool, I reached the limit. One day I had this genius idea, which was not a genius idea, to put on my 20-pound weight vest and go for a 3.5 mile run
Okay.
while doing the breathing exercise. And so I got halfway out and my heart was pounding so badly. And my watch was saying 180 beats per minute.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like my chest was on fire. So at that point, I had a choice. Okay, stop, walk back, you'll be fine, or continue. You said you were going to do something, do it. Thought the best choice then was to do it. And so I got back and I actually collapsed one of my lungs and gave myself a mini heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Way to
So
grind out.
I accomplished what I was trying to accomplish to see how far I could push the human system. What this taught me is that your mind can do something that you never think is possible.
Mm-hmm.
There can be some repercussions sometimes, though. So pay very close attention. One of my good friends, his wife is a nurse. And when it happened, I went to her house. She was like, why would you ever think this is okay?
Yeah.
It was a great learning lesson. And then the other thing is I'm really trying to understand the nature of anger. So that was one of the hardest things for me is to really understand the actual essence of anger and how it is built into our systems to actually work for us and how we're choosing to use it currently.
What did you find?
It brought me back to, well, when we were pack animals, we needed to have a fuel some reason for fight or flight.
Mm.
Simple, right? Like
Right.
if we were ever not like our pack, we were ostracized, we died.
Right.
If we couldn't run as fast as our pack to escape a predator, we were ostracized, we died. If we went over that mountain and we checked out that cave that nobody checked out, we died,
Mm-hmm.
right? So anger was the quickest, easiest fuel to help us survive. The problem is now there's no tigers chasing us. There's no bear trying to eat us. And so we currently use anger as the next best fuel source to help keep us safe.
Mm.
But the problem is, at least for me and what I believe, is that this is the worst thing that we can actually do. Using anger as fuel right now is what causes most of the difficulties in our world and in ourselves. And my main fuel source was anger. It was the
Mm.
easiest thing for me to do. And to come to terms with that and go, holy shit, Brett, you're really messing up by using this as your fuel. And you have loved this fuel source. You have to change it. And
Mm.
then to constantly be presented with situations where it was my mind would say, no, I don't want to. I
Yeah.
want to keep on using this.
Right. It works. I think that's one of the worst things for us driven type A or any achieving male
Mm-hmm.
is I run into this of like, well, if you take my anger away, what am I going to do? And that's worked in the past. If I get rid of the hatred and the anger of self, I'm not going to be driven to achieve anything. No one believes that you can do something out of love instead
Mm-hmm.
of out of hatred. But I mean, there's so many examples that you could show that love conquers all, and it's a renewable resource. It doesn't have any negative side effects as opposed to the anger.
Exactly. And that's the switch I had to make. It was, but you know how hard it is to make that switch when you don't love yourself?
Man, we could go on for forever. I can keep talking. I'm curious for you, what was it made that made you make the switch? Because when I came to this realization, I was so checked out. I was in my 30s. I just was an engineer. I was successful. I had everything, but I felt nothing. I was just so numb. And I'm good at doing hard things. I've been empty and loveless towards self for 30 years of my life. This is just who I am. I'm checked out. I'm done. I'll do this till the end of time. Like I'm good at sacrificing, being a martyr, all this. And it wasn't until
Mm,
I was talking to my therapist that I was talking about my daughter, and I was like, she was like, "Well, what about your daughter?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I tell her the opposite." And she goes, "Well, you can
mm,
tell her whatever you want, Creighton, but she's going to see how you treat yourself." And that's when it hit me. And I was like, I will do anything in my power so my daughter never has to feel about herself the way I feel about myself. So I can't do it for me, but I can do it for her. And so by starting to
nice.
do it for her,
You did it for
because
yourself.
yeah, by loving her and doing it for her, I eventually got to the point where I didn't need her. She was the training wheels. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually love myself now. Like,
So awesome.
what?
Yes.
What? So when you came to it, were you able to do it for you from the get-go? You weren't doing it for others? Wow.
No, no, it was very,
Yeah.
very difficult for me to understand that I was supposed to love myself. It came from me wanting to help others. That's what it
Mm.
came from. It's
No
literally
one,
just
did you
like
have someone specific, like kids, wife, or
the
yours was
world,
just
honestly, the world,
universal?
brother. Just because I just saw so much destruction when I was younger. And, a lot of it was self induced. And I realized, like, holy shit, if anybody's going to actually make a change, it has to start with self. And so, like, if anybody really wants to create a better world, you have to love yourself. You can't create a better world unless you love yourself because you are the model and the example as you walk around. So it's like,
Hmm.
okay, well, if you want to exit the world, exit the world. But if you're going to stay in it, you have to shift this so you can be an example of self love and smile when you see people. Like that was my biggest thing is like
Mm.
just simply going to the grocery store
Yeah.
and smiling at people,
Yeah.
being an example of kindness. And so I felt for me that anger, it had to go away because if I really wanted to stay in the world and be of service, I had to learn to love myself. So it was like a non negotiable. Okay, we'll
Mm.
figure it out then.
Wow. I'm jealous of your journey. I feel like mine was always so selfish going back to the Dalai Lama. I'm doing it for myself. And if I'm doing it for
Mhm.
myself, I have to do it for others. And if I do it for others, then I'm doing it for myself. But yours was, oh no, I'm doing it for everyone else. Like,
But we
whoa.
both reached the same goal.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it is I think is like when we choose this path, I tell all my clients like before we start working together, hey, there's a door. You do not have to go through that door. But once you go through that door, you can never come back through it. Never. Once you know yourself deeper than you do currently,
Yeah.
it sucks. It sucks because there's so many more things that you open up.
Yeah.
But if you're willing to go through that door, you can have a beautiful life. And so at that point, it was just like, yeah, like, okay, if you choose this is going to suck and it's going to be really hard. And you're going to have to find a way to like love yourself and that deep visceral pain you feel in your chest every time you even think about it. You're just going to have to accept it and move through it and be with it and sit with it and be okay with it. And so, we went about it in different ways, brother, but we got to the same place.
I mean, I'm still trying. Just don't let no, don't let any of this facade and all this philosophy. I mean, the battle still comes up when, one thing that I've been noticing just on it after I get done with work. My kids, I have three kids. They're back in school, so every night at dinner, we'll sit at the dinner table, and one of the my favorite things is we connect at the dinner. We'll talk about spirituality, but one of the things we do is a game we call high low buffalo. Like, what was your high for the day? What's something that was unexpected, your buffalo? And then what's a low? And so that way each one of us get an opportunity. And they'll be talking. And again, going back to your triad, I think that the biggest gift God gave us is presence. So I'm always constantly reminding myself that, okay, this is a present that can only be opened with presence. Am I here? And because they'll be talking and drifting and the frustration and all these. And it goes, for me, it's always because in my mind, I'm attached. I just want to go sit in bed and lay down and read. I'm
Mm,
attached to, I want this. So I'm constantly bringing myself back like, okay, Creighton, do you want that? Or do you want a connection with your kids? Do you want to show your kids love? Do you want to? And I've just been noticing that. And I think it's because they came back to school in the last 2 weeks. So I'm
mm.
slowly acclimating that this is the norm again. So,
Nice, man. Good job. And that self-awareness is key. And I think like again, asking yourself, okay, I'm helping myself some way by wanting to distract myself, by wanting to move on to the next thing.
yeah.
How am I actually helping myself in this moment or perceived help? And then once you figure that out, it'll be so much easier for you to be more present.
Yeah. Or I could just say, screw it all. I'm going to fast forward this and go to bed as quick as possible, which I
Mm-hmm.
could. And then
Mm-hmm.
recognizing once I do that, what did I give up to get this? And I gave up time with my kids do I actually feel good about that? Now I feel bad about that and wish I could go back. And this is one
Hmm.
thing that I love coaching people is like my whole goal with any of my coaching is I want you to be unapologetically you. I don't
Mm,
care if you made good choices, bad choices. I'm not here to judge. That's for the creator. But at the end of the day, when you look back at what you did, do you regret anything you did? And if the
mm,
answer is yes, let's try to correct that tomorrow. And obviously, we're never going to get it to be perfect, but at least we're conscious of it and we're trying to get a little bit better every single day.
mm. Nice,
So
man. That's awesome.
I don't know. Okay, let's wrap this up because I know your time is valuable. We've been going for a while. What advice, and I know you kind of just said it, but I don't know if you have something else, but what advice would you give to the guy that's kind of lost in the hustle or they're feeling numb inside? Like, what do you think is the first step they can take today to start reconnecting with who they really are?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And I think the easiest step that we can do is to give up one thing. I know it sounds
Mm,
counterintuitive, but
no, I love it.
if we can just give up one thing that's making us unhappy with ourselves, it doesn't even have to be, the main guys things, the porn, the sex, the alcohol, the drugs. It can be scrolling on Instagram for 5 minutes. It can be
Mm,
looking at your phone before bed. It can be watching that show for 15 minutes. Small, consistent actions actually are what creates change when you feel like you can't change. And all this time, men come to me and they say, I want to change all this stuff right now. And I'm
yeah,
like, that's fantastic. I'm proud of you.
yeah,
We're actually going to do one thing this next week, and it's going to take you 15 minutes every day. Brett, that's dumb. It's not
yeah.
going to work. Completely understand what you're saying, brother. Let's just give it a shot. And so for men that are in the depths or they're plateaued or they're looking for their next mountain, the best thing in my perspective is to find one small thing, practice it 15 minutes a day, and it'll change your life.
Wow. Beautiful. So true. So small, so simple, so hard. All right. Before I let you get out of here, is there anything that you want to say that we didn't talk about that you feel is on your heart that you really want to share with someone that's listening to this right now?
So I did want to bring up, we just started our BRC Brotherhood. It's a school community. I'm super stoked about this because I've been trying to find a way to bring men together in a larger capacity. And so in this platform, we're going to have great brotherhood conversations, mindset Q&As every month, group coaching calls every month, building courses right now in it. So we already have a 7-day reset course. I'm going to build a 12-week course. And so as this is the new rising of it, I'm offering, it's normally going to be $44 a month. For the first 44 members, it's only $22 a month.
Oh,
And
wow.
those will be our founding members that any other man they invite, they get 50% of the commission from the men that they bring in for life.
Oh, wow.
And so the whole thing is the one-on-one coaching is beautiful. The group coaching is beautiful. The events, the retreats, that's awesome. We have an opportunity to really change the world. And I think bringing more men together from all walks of life on a platform where we can stay connected and build together is going to be a huge game changer.
I love that. And if they're wanting to jump in on that, what's the best way for them to get access or to reach out to find out more about that?
So they can either find me on Instagram or simply go to skool.com/BRC Brotherhood.
BRC Brotherhood on
Mm-hmm.
school.com.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And I'll put all your social in the thing.
Thanks, brother.
Well, brother, thank you so much for giving us some of your time, getting deep into. It's so interesting how we have similar paths, but kind of went different ways to the same
I
center.
love it. I love it, man.
So amazing to connect with you. I hope that we stay connecting, man. And if there's anything that I can do to help out, feel free to reach out, man.